So I showed you some of the basic operations of the REPL environment. So let's look a little bit about how you actually type code here before we actually get into typing code in a text editor. So what is useful about this, in particular when you're learning a new programming language? So I play a bit around with this, for instance, with my kids. I have 2 kids in elementary school, and this is a very simple way of getting started. So if you compare to something like Java or C# or C++, you have to do a lot of these kind of introduction things. For instance, in C++, you would have to do include, IO, stream, and after you had done that, you have to, have some void, main, argv, so on. And so there's a lot of scaffolding and things that you have to present to someone who's a beginner in the beginning, and it's not really any better if you're working with Java or C#. There's a lot of stuff that you have to present to a new user. What's really nice with the REPL is you don't have to tell a new user how you get output to the screen, right? If I just wrote 2 plus 3 in Java and you ran that, it wouldn't produce any kind of output that you can see. But in Julia, it will show you evaluated results like that when you're using a REPL environment. So this allows you to introduce people to very simple concept at the beginning, right? That you can just use it for adding, and I can introduce, for instance, what's a variable, okay? So I can do like this, and I can show, if I'm doing this with my kids, I can show that they can do 2 times a, and I can demonstrate that, okay, now there's a number inside the a. And so this is a nice way of introducing programming to people. You can just work with one concept at a time. So the simple hello world in Julia would just be hello world like that. And what I really like about the Julia REPL environment is this is all written in Julia, is extendable by Julia. So the thing is, if you learn the Julia programming language, it also becomes your tool to enhance and improve your development environment. So for instance, we can load a package called REPL, which is all written in Julia code, and now I have some extra functionality. Let me show you. You can see if you can guess what the new functionality is. Right, so we have color coding right now. That is a pretty smart one. So it has this rainbow braces, so you can keep track of what brace you have. You can see the green matches up with the green, the red with the red, and so on. Once you showed someone the basics, you can go on and show them, how do you write a simple function. And in Julia, this looks very similar to mathematics. So this is the same as writing that. This is a simple introduction I done for my kids to demonstrate what a function is, and we have sometimes these kind of guessing games where they didn't see how I defined the function, they just have to put in values and they have to guess how did I actually define the function. So one-liners is very easy to write in Julia. Of course, you can write functions for multiple lines, and you would just write function f of x like that, and okay, maybe we do 3 times x. So you see that you don't have to write, you could write return like that, but this is just for an early return. Otherwise, the very last statement that you write is the return value. So we can test this out. If I have 2, 3, and 6, of course now it doesn't really care about my x, but I can try something. So you see that it just gives the last result that you used as the return value. The next thing you might want to do is like a for loop. So for I in 1 to 4, and let's just print out hello. So Julia is pretty handy in editing things before. You can use the arrow keys up and down to get back something that you wrote before. I can go back to this one and say I don't want to write this out, I want to write instead, and then we get that. Finding back code that you have written earlier is pretty easy. You can just search for it like this with the arrow keys, or you can start writing something. So say I want to get back one of my print statements. So I just start with PR and I just hit my up arrow key and it completes. So you can do history completes. That's very handy. If I want to get one of my for loops, right, I can do like this, so that you can see everything I done in my history before it gets back up there. And we can do simple editing here. So say I want to put this into a function. I can copy that, and now we can define a function. Let's see, what can we call it? Count n, and let's just copy paste that in. See, I can do regular edits. I have most of the sort of regular key combination available here. And then we have our count. We can try it out. Oops. One of the good things about working with the REPL is that you have all this interactivity. So often when you're developing something new, you're trying it out in the REPL because you get all this immediate feedback. You might build up something through defining lots of little functions that you're combining, copy pasting together and so on. And we have completion here. So when I started writing fun, I can complete with that. That all works also for, say, PR, and I hit tab and I can see what starts with that. Okay, promote. Let's see, what's another example? So you have find functions. I can click find, I hit tab twice. You can see all the find alternatives we have. So maybe I'm interested in find first. I can go into help mode and we quickly have an example where we can look at how this works. Now, if you know that you already want to use find first, of course you can start writing that, and you want to fill in the arguments. I can hit tab again, and you can see I get a list of what kind of arguments that I can use with this. We always have the base module loaded. I can write base dot and I can hit tab and I can see everything that's in the base model. The base model is pretty big, so that completes a lot. We can try oh my REPL, which exists in there. So here you get everything that's in oh my REPL.